ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Yeah, let's bring them on right now. Look at this. Here we go. I'll still do the intro. Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time. You survived another weekend for the closing bell. Monday, May 20th, 2024, the last full week in the month of May. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play. Download it. It's free. We will take care of the rest. My co-star, the co-host, the one and only Mr. Southside Riley himself. How are you, Riley?
I am good, my friend. Happy Monday to you. We had a heck of a weekend of sports action. I know you are feeling in good shape for certain reasons here after the PGA Championship that just concluded there. Some solid action there, and obviously a couple of Game 7s yesterday. One of them very, very entertaining. The other one pretty anticlimactic, I guess you would say. And obviously the Knicks are trying to see how they can bolster their roster, and obviously the injuries and banged up nature that they had didn't help, but going to be kind of licking their wounds a little bit here. I don't know what their next step is for the Knicks, but obviously a coach that always kind of has the MO of wearing his teams out a little bit. I love the man as a Bulls fan myself, but and he brought some success to Chicago when he was in there, but another revisionist history. I mean, as talking about, you ease up a couple times during the season, and maybe this team is in better shape in the playoffs. And obviously, if you want to chalk it up to the banged up nature that they had, then absolutely go ahead. I'm not going to stop you there. But nonetheless, a good weekend of sports action, my friend, and we got another Game 7 in hockey tonight. I was missing some hockey action yesterday, but obviously we filled the void of no NBA today with some good hockey action tonight, hopefully, my friend.
Yeah, I'll just dive in for one quick second with the Tibbs. Tibbs is a great coach. Sometimes being a former coach, obviously not at the professional ranks, but I have coached college. I have coached the ranks of baseball all the way up to college as well. Some coaches only know one tone, one speed, and he is known as a defensive, hard-nosed coach. It's his way or the highway. That group that he put together, and we said Team Villanova with Brunson, with DiVincenzo, and then of course with Mr. Hart. Listen, they took that train as far as they could go, and kind of a blessing, I think, for the NBA. Yes, it would have been great on paper, Knicks, Celtics, all the hoopla, but a team that would have had no puncher's chance, because I don't even know if they could have fielded five on the court by the time the tip-off is tomorrow. So hats off to the Pacers. Both road teams winning. We're going to circle back to the NBA and talk again about the Ant March, and hats off to that team. The one team remaining, the Wolves, the one of the four, meaning the Celtics, the Pacers, and the Mavericks. But the one thing that the Wolves do that the other three don't, is play defense, and we'll get
Mhm.
back to that one as well. And Phoenix today, you talked about the Knicks missing that one piece, and you hear the whispers of KD potentially them blowing that up. Rumor has it they came out today and they're running it back, so which is a joke, anyways. But we'll get to the NBA. You talked about the PGA, and you get our alerts. We had some shows Thursday, Friday. Actually, no, Friday we did not, but we had a show on Thursday night. Me and Brady do a show here on Wednesday at 5. I talked to Brady backstage. I said our simulator came up with Xander 14-1 on the simulation price to win the tournament, 14-1 at the books. In the alert, I said X marks the spot. There was, we went 7 deep and then we had 4 longer shots. But Saturday sent out the alert and the same thing. My eyes were fixed. I thought Xander was the guy, but my eyes were fixated on Bryson. I clearly said it on the early Saturday morning alert. I said it again Sunday morning. And when the dust settled, we had the top 4. We had Xander at 14-1. We had Bryson at 27-1. We had Morikawa at 30-1, and we had Hovland at 47-1. And I've never sat. There was 156 golfers pre-flop here, by the way. I've never, in 9 years of public service, never sat in a golf tournament where, we had no exposure to Lowry. We had no exposure to Rose. We had no exposure to Thigala. You can't play them all, as everyone knows, and as I told the ETSI family. I've never sat there and just like, okay, well, I'm going to be honest with you. My shortest ticket was Xander. That's the guy I was rooting for the most, though.
Yeah, and you felt like we all felt like he had to get over that hump, otherwise the real narrative was going to follow him around. And it's hilarious that we get to this point in media where it's this guy can't do it, this guy can't do it, and then once he does, obviously that leaves him, and then a couple more majors, and we're talking about him as one of the best ever. I mean, they talked about I can't remember all of the names that they mentioned, but how many runner-up finishes in majors he's had was on par with 4 or 5 other golf legends, and nobody thinks about those guys as guys that couldn't get the job done. So Xander still has so much time ahead of him that he could, really elevate himself into not just one of the better ones of this generation, but I mean a few more majors. How close he's been and how close he can continue to be if he stays healthy. He'll get up there, and he could, obviously make a huge name for himself in history. Hovland is the other guy who, thankfully, he didn't lose himself $500,000 or something with that ugly putt. I mean, we saw, I can't remember if it was the Masters this year or what, where he had the hockey 3-4 dekes on the one hole. So he's fantastic, and he's obviously been there and accomplished it, but he's got to obviously get that out of his system as far as those ugly little 2-foot misses there. But I would feel at a certain point this year, he obviously did not look in form. He did not look good at the Masters. After this one, that would be one guy that I feel very, very confident to say he could win either of the last 2 majors here the rest of the way, Hovland. And then Morikawa, obviously another guy now that has been there and has done that, so we're not going to say he can't get the job done. But now these last couple of years, kind of just been circling the wagons a little bit. So whether or not it's a major or not, he's going to win another tournament or 2 this upcoming year if he can stay in form like he is, because he was not bad yesterday. He just didn't have his putter going yesterday, and a couple of shots that he obviously would have liked to put closer, but had a lot of good opportunities that he just didn't capitalize on. So Morikawa is going to be in the mix in the next few months, and then I thought I can't remember if it was hole 1 or hole 2. JT Thomas had a great start, and it looked like with the crowd and the home course aspect of it, I thought he was going to make it a little bit better of a run at, but he had obviously a great tournament himself. So curious to see where he goes. And then obviously, he's obviously finished 8 shots back, but always curious to see where. We'll always be curious to see how well Scotty could have finished if he obviously didn't have his situation Friday morning. But kudos to him for even finishing tied for 8th after everything that happened, Scotty. So. Was as good of a PGA championship. It's obviously everyone, kind of builds up the other ones, and maybe I don't want to call this one afterthought because it is a major, obviously, but the 4th as far as significance for a lot of people as far as the 4 majors. So this one is as excited as a PGA championship as I have seen in a long time, my friend. So I was very entertained all weekend long.
Shout out to Mr. Smooth, Mr. Alvarez. He goes, happy. Wait, what day is it today? Well, when you spend the weekend with Mr. Grissom at this club, that club, every club, at the Circa, living large. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Mr. Alvarez. I was jealous as hell. I am, as he says, I'm still recovering from the week. We will see you in 3 weeks for the Belmont there as a little upset in the slop at the Preakness, excuse me. Mystic Dan, the Kentucky Derby winner, just misses again for a chance at the Triple Crown. So looking forward to your recap and, of course, your thoughts on the Belmont in 3 weeks, Mr. Smooth. I got a few things to get off my chest when it comes to this PGA tournament and social media. Listen, guys, I'll be 58 in November. And the older I get, I don't want to say the wiser I get. I don't want to be that cranky old man at some point. And I'm telling you, Twitter has a way to take it to you. No one is ever bleeping happy. Okay. We're the ones that are screaming because it's 1-0 in the bottom of the ninth of a baseball game. We're the ones screaming because it's 13-12 and the game's 5 hours long. Okay. Take it to golf now. The people bitching and complaining because the winning score was 21 under. And the fact is that they're watching a major. Those same people will be bitching and complaining at the U.S. Open when there's 5 guys under par and the rest are 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 over par. I mean, Tiger Woods, God bless you, kid. Hey, I love you. Because of you, golf is where it is today. It's time. Take the rest of the summer off. Do what you got to do, kid. Listen, you're struggling out there. We get it. You don't have to do it for us anymore. Please, you've done enough for the game. When you're ready, come back there. No one would be bitching and complaining if that was Scotty Scheffler that put up a -21, though, would they have, Riley?
No, and it's unfathomable when you have 3 of the top. I guess I don't know where they are in the world rankings now, and obviously with LIV, the world rankings aren't as significant as they had been in the past. But when you've got 3 of the top 15 golfers in the world with a chance to go to a playoff or win the tournament on the last hole, that is always a good thing. I don't care if it's 2 over par, 2 under par, or 21 under par. So I was as entertained. I mean, not to mention you had those 3 guys obviously in the with the chance on 18, but you had, 10 guys, 10, 15 guys with a realistic chance of if they go 64, 65 and shoot a great round to go and steal this thing. So that was as good of about as good of a Sunday without a playoff as you're going to get in a major tournament yesterday.
And the funny thing is Bryson, okay, is Mr. Sailor goes pre, and then he says deep breaths. And here's the funny. I was talking to a good friend and colleague on Saturday, and usually in most golf tournaments, the 18th hole is usually pretty tough. It's one where you can potentially birdie, but a par is good. Okay, this was a par 5 where if you didn't birdie, you were going to lose a hole. And just think of it this way: with Bryson on your heels, you knew he was going to birdie, potentially eagle it. So Bryson's on the range, and let's go to Xander on 17. He drives the ball perfectly. It spins backwards into the trap. And then on 18, he puts it this far from the trap, so he's got his feet in. So again, hats off for Xander. Yeah, the world wanted a 3-hole playoff. We're probably Bryson. It would have been a pick 'em probably, maybe Xander -105 there. But again, social media and the people just always just finding a way to bitch and complain about something, and it's usually the refs, the umpires. Embrace sports. And I know a lot of people, because of gambling, and we don't gamble here, we call it sports investing, where we try to open your eyes, educate you guys, and give you some opportunities. A perfect example on Sunday. Okay. What do I mean on Sunday? This. I said it on our show. The Pacers were -5.5, -200 on the money line Friday night, Riley. What did I tell everyone? Don't put your bankroll at risk. Don't worry about a backdoor cover. Go take them plus 220 to win the series. If they win Friday night, which they did, now you have a hedge opportunity, or you could let it ride. The same thing with the Oilers tonight. Game 6, they were minus 220. I says, don't put your money at risk. Take them plus 160 to win the series. They'll be favored again tonight, which they are. So you either go grab your plus 40 cents and take Vancouver tonight, or you let it ride with Edmonton, who's plus 160 tonight. I'm sorry, Edmonton minus 160, and we got them at plus 160. So, but that's why we're here, to try to educate people. But the platforms give people a reason to speak their mind. I get it. And a lot of times, Riley, it's for clicks and kicks. But when the same people are just whining and complain, they're the ones that would ask for change when they just got a free lunch.
No, 100%. And I can't, you said it best yourself. And I mean, it's not even worth entertaining these people half the time. So, and especially not if they're, comment, trolls or whatever you want to call them there. So, no, it was as good as it gets. And you said it spot on, especially with the hockey situation there. You're set, if you listen to that advice, you're set up tonight for that hockey game tonight. So, and I think you mentioned it as great advice for I can't remember what the other hockey series it would have been was the other night, but just and it was if you like this team, don't do them minus 165 in Game 6. It's do that. They obviously lost that game, but it doesn't mean it's not good advice there. So no, I'm ready to roll into it. Let's go into this hockey game tonight, my friend, because obviously we can touch on NBA a little bit, but I know you got another show going on. But tonight's hockey game, Oilers and Canucks. If someone did not take that advice and didn't place any bets on Game 6 and is opening up today's game, you've got Edmonton. I believe it's minus 160 right now on the road in Vancouver. Over 5.5, minus 120. Under 5.5 at even plus 100. Obviously, the Oilers and Vancouver have gone back and forth here for this entire series. So where are we feeling tonight if we didn't if someone was not lucky enough to see your advice on this game for Game 6 here tonight?
Well, we did a show of hockey with Andrew McGinnis from Wager Talk before you and I stepped into the studio. Andrew talked about he liked over 5.5, even though Game 7s are usually first 1-3, 3-2 wins. Well, he brought up the fact that Edmonton scored 5 goals in Game 6 without their stars, the Leons, the McDavid scoring. So he expects some goals to be scored here. For me, I'm looking at an opening line of 140, now 154 at the Circa, 160 across the rest of the Vegas Strip, an over-under that opened at 6, now 5.5. Real tough nut to swallow. Anyone looking for some futures that didn't take our advice in January with the Dallas Stars to win the West, to win the Stanley Cup, take this a step further, because I think the winner of this game tonight is still going to lose to the Stars. So now we point to the Stanley Cup. Take a peek at the Conn Smythe Award winners, and you can take a look at Ottinger, who was plus 600 in some spots, now around plus 490. And then Johnson, Wyatt Johnson, who was plus 11 or 1200. So my point is, if you got no Stars futures, take a little look at them in the Conn Smythe. Beat it to the punch, as we talk about when it comes to like the Super Bowl MVPs, where before the tournament starts, if we liked Philly 2 years ago, we had a Jalen Hurts at 6-1. We had a Mahomes at 4-1. Well, by the time you got to kickoff, 6 weeks later, they were both pick'ems. And the same with 11-1 Patrick Mahomes last year, before the tournament started. And then again, he goes off as the favorite there. So we're trying to get a little ahead of the game a little there. But tonight's game, it's a coin toss. As you said, what happens if I didn't take your advice and I have the Edmonton plus 160? My head says Edmonton. My heart says Vancouver. I have not given this Canucks team enough credit, and these guys have been feisty. I didn't think they'd get I thought they'd sneak through the first round. I didn't think they'd get by the second round. Here they are, one game away from right there. They're right there. And Edmonton's the better offensive team right now, but as a whole, Vancouver, home ice, game 7. Here's how I'm going to tell you to play this game. If you like Vancouver tonight, Andrew said it best. You think there's a correlation. Edmonton plays to the over, Vancouver plays to the under. And here's what I'm going to say also. If you like Vancouver tonight, play them in the first period. Take a little plus money on the money line. And if you want to win in case of a tie, 0-0, 1-1, then you can get them plus a half goal as well. That will be a little steeper as well. But my point is, if you like Vancouver tonight, I think that's your spot to jump in on them.
No, I like it, and I've Edmonton is a team that I've had a future on for a while, so that is part of where my interests personally lie. But Vancouver, and I'm not the hockey guy, so I always say that. I'm not even giving advice here, but it does feel like Vancouver could be the we are not supposed to be here, we have nothing to lose situation here, whereas obviously the pressure is a little more squarely on Edmonton's shoulders. So I am excited for this one. This is going to be a really great, hopefully a great game here. And then, like you said, like the Stars in the next series. But if it's Edmonton, they could give them a run for their money, and I'd be interested to see how that series goes.
Shout out to the Wager Wire community. They are deep at work today. We can't thank you enough here for all your following, watching our shows. Part of our success is your success as well, meaning social media is funny. I say this in my alerts a few times, Riley, when I feel a little feisty. It's like tipping the dealer at the Bellagio, okay? I believe in karma. So whether it's a like, whether it's a retweet, whether it's going to our YouTube station and subscribing, those are the best things that you can do for us right now. I mean, unless you want to start a GoFundMe or you want to send money to our PayPal account, Venmo, a Cash App or whatever. But my point is you guys are alive and well. We got over a couple hundred people right now live just on Twitter watching the show, and we can't thank you guys enough.
Nope, it is fantastic. So that is it for NHL. We've got some MLB games tonight we can breeze through. We don't have to hit them all, my friend. The one I wanted to mention to you or bring up to you and ask your thoughts on this one, Mets and Guardians. Cleveland minus 125 at home here against the Mets. 21-25 Mets, 30-17 Guardians, fresh off of a huge sweep at home against Minnesota for Cleveland. You've got Tyler McGill for the Mets. Start number 2 on the season. Has not pitched since March 31st. So I have to imagine he's going to be on a pitch count here, not going too much further than I would imagine 4 or 5 innings, if that. And then you've got Ben Lively on the other side for Cleveland, who is having a solid stretch here over these past couple of months for Cleveland. But for those who are unaware, largely a journeyman, has not really been able to stick around in the MLB at all. 19 games last year, 5.38 ERA. Before that, hadn't been in the big leagues since 2019. 4 or 5 different teams, but he's pitching well for the most part here these last 6 starts. And now you've got both these two teams, at least I saw, that you might have to shop around. Maybe there's some books that aren't giving you plus money, but both these teams I saw 4.5 to their team total at some plus money. Are we interested at some point here in the Ben Lively regression? Again, Tyler McGill hasn't started in a while, so if you have thoughts on that, go ahead and give it, obviously. But Ben Lively himself, are we interested in trying to hop on some Ben Lively regression at some point here, starting potentially tonight in Cleveland, my friend?
Are you reading my desk or something? I sent out the alert. We have one game in play in the major leagues. Obviously, we have the plus 160 on the Oilers tonight, or you can hedge and guarantee yourself 40 cents on Vancouver, either which way. It is so funny because I looked at that game and something smells, as you caught it right there. Both team totals 4.5, juiced under minus 35 cents. I was going to come on the show and say one of those teams is getting a 5. And if you look at starting pitching, you look at current offense, you look at everything, and that would lead you think your eyes to the Guardians today. I think the Mets are a live dog today. I think the Mets get to 5 or better today. if you are in Vegas right now, you can tiptoe over to our friends at the Circa. Say hello to Jeffrey Benson, Mr. Metcalf, maybe even Derek Stevens. The owner will get you a drink. You can get over 8.5 at 20 cents. Otherwise, the rest of the Vegas Strip is a flat 9 juiced under. So my point is, someone's getting a 5 or more tonight in that game. I think the Mets are a live dog. I think it gets over 8.5. And I'll just say this tongue in cheek and sarcastically: if you bet both team totals over 4.5 and one gets there, you're still going to make yourself 35 cents on every 100.
Yes, sir, my friend. And I was double checking some popular books, and those look to be at plus money on the 4.5 as well there. So definitely something to take a peek at there. Let's see. You've got game 2 doubleheader, San Diego, Atlanta. Vasquez has not been very good for the Padres here these last couple of months here. And Chris Sale, who you and I talked about the other day, has been very, very good. Strikeouts way up, looking about as good as he's looked since those first couple of years winning World Series in Boston. And San Diego wins game 1 of the doubleheader 6-5. Atlanta's offense 3 days before that, only 1 run, all losses, I believe. Do wake up a little bit this morning or this afternoon, whatever it was, and put up 5. But with Chris Sale on the mound, any thoughts on this one? Is this Braves or bust, or any interest in a 2-game doubleheader sweep? And I believe it would be a 4-game sweep for San Diego over Atlanta here tonight.
I like to say baseball has been Betty good to me, but not of late. It's funny, Saturday night we gave out the Red Sox team total over, and we gave the Padres team total over. Red Sox bats nowhere to be found. Cy Mikolas decided to spin a gem. And of course, the Padres and Braves game was postponed. So what happens on Sunday? The Red Sox score 11. And that same matchup, by the way, Elder versus Darvish, instead of Saturday night, was Sunday ESPN. And the Braves go out and get their team total, I think, within the 3rd or 4th inning. I saw the Acuna drop. Today, Braves had a 5-1 lead and lost 6-5. Something's going on in Atlanta. I don't want to say they're not concentrating, but my point is, when Acuna drops just a little league fly ball, and they're not winning offensively before today, not scoring, other than Sale. Lopez has been okay. The loss of Strider long-term is going to hurt them. They'll be in the market for another arm. Since the Arise trade to the Padres, I said this a few weeks ago. I'm going to say it again, and we got a lot of people listening, guys. Listen, go run to your sports book right now. Okay, we call it pizza and beer money. I'm not asking you to drop a half a unit or a full unit on this. Take a swing at the Padres, not to win the West, but just take a swing on them, National League and World Series. Here's what I'm saying. Their offense got a lot longer with the addition of Reyes. Now, here's one thing. I should actually bite my tongue, because Bogarts went down in the first game, and it looked like the Trevor Story injury. So my point is, when Reyes went to the number 1 spot, that moved Bogarts down, and it just lengthened that lineup. So I don't know the extent of the Bogarts injury. Hopefully he's okay. Maybe an IL stint. Hopefully it's not, season-ending injury. But my point is, their offense is elite. Top 5 in the National League. It's just now starting pitching and the back end pitching. So again, pizza and beer money, I call it, Riley.
No, I'm with you. And I mean, Bogarts, an hour ago, the update that I have in front of me here, preliminary imaging on left shoulder came back negative. Still waiting additional test, but does not sound terrible. He's day-to-day right now. But you're right. Arise, last year, took a terrible Marlins offense and help make them at least a somewhat watchable and movable offense there. He's as good of a table setter as we have in the league when he's rolling right now. Look at the numbers he was putting up last year. Obviously, didn't get off quite to that same start in Miami this year, but now you give him a new change of scenery. He's hitting he's 369 OBP this month of June here, and it's only getting better, I believe, right now. So. You get him with a spark in front of this, in front of these other guys, and that offense can become dangerous, obviously. And if they move and get a little better at the trade deadline, then obviously I'm with you. That's a dangerous lineup there. So Other couple of games I wanted to bring up, and then we can close it on MLB for this show here. Boston, Tampa Bay, not in your neck of the woods, but obviously Boston in Tampa Bay today. Houck versus Bradley, a couple of young guys. Bradley, not a very good first year last year. Bring him back up now. This is start number 3. First 2 starts against the Yankees and Boston. 1 earned run, 2 earned run in each of those 2 starts. Now seeing Boston again for the second straight time. And now you've got Houck on the other side of the mound, who has been keeping the runs off the board at the very least here. A little hit or miss on some hits allowed, but aside from one ugly game, has been keeping the hits off or the runs off of the board here. Any thoughts on this one? Are we going to get any regression from these guys, or do you think these are two? We were talking about some guys that have been just looking really, really good on the mound lately. Last week when you and I were talking, are these guys set up for some continued success here, or are we going to see one or both of these guys regress a little bit and some runs on the board in Tampa tonight?
Well, Sox wake up on Sunday in St. Louis with the win. Now travel to Tampa. Tampa had some success early last week at Fenway. Sox look to pay back the Rays back in Tampa. An overnight number of -110 both ways. A little money coming in on Tampa. -119. You can grab the Sox +109. A 7 over -20 cents. Sox offense before yesterday had been very, very cold, like the Braves. So again, slight lean to the dog here. Sox +109. Not a big feel on it, but again, I'd grab the +109. If you don't want to go full game, take a look at the first 5. Hopefully to scratch a run or 2 out. They expect a low-scoring game. 7 over. -20 cents. It opened at 8 under. You can get both teams' totals. You can get the Sox team total. What is it, 3.5 over, Riley?
Yeah, let me double. That was what I was seeing earlier, but I can double check for you. But let's see. Yeah, yep, that's right.
You can, if you want to get cute and coy, you want the Sox to get to 4. First one to 4 wins this game. Take a swing at the Sox to get to 4. Also got to laugh at Mr. Saylor. 3 of my favorite things: pizza, beer, and money. They go hand in hand, Mr. Saylor. They go hand in hand.
All righty, last game, good game, solid pitching matchup. Not the last game of the night. Last game that I was bringing to the table to talk about here. Mariners at the Yanks. Yankees quietly and consistently take care of my White Sox. Over the weekend, Stroman on the mound for them. Mariners in town with Logan Gilbert. Stroman, last time out, very, very good. Has been a little hit or miss this year, but last time out, 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks. So strikeout rate not very high in that game, but obviously keeping off the base pass. And Logan Gilbert, pretty similar, a hit or miss for the most part, but a handful more, a little more consistent sometimes with his solid starts. Was decent in a bounce back start last time. But you got the Yanks -140 here at home. Would you respect him a little bit higher than that with his solid pitcher on the mound coming off a really good start at home against the Mariners, coming off of a little bit of a win streak themselves here, or are you feeling like that's a fair line with 2 solid pitchers on the mound?
Stroman was Cy Stroman last time out, and he's one of these guys you like to fade, and when you do, man, I remember on the Mets days I'd fade him, and again, he'd be Cy Stroman. I had great love affair with Mr. Gilbert in his early days. The Seattle Mariners offense has been just so inconsistent. If I was to dive into this, I'd take a swing at the dog. Yankees overnight opened up -125, now -137. The Mariners +105, now +125. Under over 7.5, juiced over -25 cents. That was last night. Now it's a flat 8, under 15 cents. Listen, the Yankees, I just look at their record. They just keep winning, and they got a couple game lead over the Orioles, who we had pre-flop as the team to beat in the East. I still think they are. If they ever could get Mason Miller, look out there. But there's a lot of teams shopping for that closer right now in Oakland. Small dog play here on Seattle. Again, if you don't like the full game, take a swing at them at the first 5 if you want. Hopefully, you get some plus money on that side. You don't have to worry about the back end or anything there. But small lean towards the dog here on the Mariners.
Yeah, I mean the Yanks 7-game win streak coming in, I would have respected a bigger number than this with even obviously Stroman a little hit or miss, but still no scrub on the mound there. So I am with you. I am also leaning towards the Mariners, but I will contradict myself a little bit and give a little bit of a home run lean in this one to the Yanks side of things. Lefty righty split, positive split for Anthony Rizzo. Didn't have a home run over the weekend, but a couple of multi-hit games. So I'll go, I believe it was plus 650 for a Rizzo, maybe a solo shot, and that's their only run of the game, I guess, is where where my head's at with this one in the Bronx tonight, my friend.
I have to say this: Saturday and Sunday, 11 a.m. to 12 Eastern, the Vegas Scoreboard Express, AM, FM in Las Vegas. I was a part of the show with JB and a few others. On Saturday and Sunday, I gave out Rafael Devers home runs, and he has hit now 5 games in a row. So everyone watching, why not? Let's sprinkle a little, make it 6 for a Rafi homer in Tampa tonight. That would be 6 games in a row. That's my home run prop for tonight.
I like it. I like it. That is another solid one to add. We will be watching for those. But that is all I had for any my side of MLB tonight. If you've got anything that you want to lay down before we get on out of here.
The one thing that stuck out to me would be a Houston Astros team total over 4.5 today. Detmers has been hit or miss. We were able to get him. We went against him. I think it was his last outing. And we were able to get the win there. Now, Valdez versus Detmers, again, the Astros are minus 215. There's, I looked even trying to get involved in that first 5 minus the hook. The price was too high. I don't like playing home teams run lines because they're not guaranteed the 9th inning. So we're only guaranteed 24 guaranteed outs instead of 27. So I like the Astros team total over the 4.5 today. I think they get a couple homers. I think they get to 5 or more. Kyle Tucker has been in fuego. Keep an eye on Kyle Tucker. And if I had to go from the right side, an Altuve or Bregman as well versus the lefty.
I like it. And, you obviously are talking about runs and home runs, but Framber Valdez, looking really solid these last couple. 0 runs on the board, 2 hits his last time out. A guy that has been very, very kind to me over the last few years. One of the, in my opinion, obviously a ton of success and postseason success, but doesn't get enough credit as one of the better pitchers in the game, consistency-wise, these last few years. So, no, that about does it for me, my friend. I don't have too much else to lay down. You've got only live game, I believe, in action is my White Sox down 7-3 in Toronto. But that should not be a surprise to anyone watching that has seen this team this season here. But Toronto obviously has had their own struggles, but not quite the same level there. So for my closing thoughts, my friend, just excited for these couple of NBA series. I know you and I talked about it would be a disgrace and a failure if the Celtics take any series to 7 games, certainly in this Eastern Conference, and even 6 games at this point would maybe not a failure, but obviously would not be meeting expectations here. I believe they were. I think I saw minus 155 to win this series by at least 3 games here tonight. This upcoming week. So I'll go on record saying they get pushed to a 6th game. They get the snoozer, and then you get one great game into Indiana or something like that. So not a failure by any means, and I think it could be a series where the Pacers, like I said, they get the Celtics snoozer and then one really good game, and then the 3 or 4 wins for the Celtics could be some big wins here. Obviously, the spread I think in Game 1 is 10. So I don't think it's going to be the most entertaining series there, but I am obviously looking forward to Minnesota and Dallas, and hopefully we can get some good fireworks there. I don't have a series top scorer prop necessarily on that one. I think it's fair to assume that it's I think I saw it was minus 140 Luka, plus 120 Anthony Edwards. So I'll go with, I'm not going to put it in, but I'll say Luka wakes up a little bit. Obviously not wake up because they just won the series, but you know what I mean. With he'll have at least 1 or 2 40 burgers in this series, in my opinion. Despite the defense, I shouldn't say 2 40 burgers. He'll have 1 40 burger, and I think he'll lead the series in points there against Minnesota. But I'm excited for that one for sure.
Russell goes, is my 115-1 Pacers ticket dead? And I said no. Okay, something smells. And here's what I'm going to tell everyone. The Celtics are going to win the series. I've seen as high as minus 1,300. I've seen as low as 900. I'll tell you what doesn't add up to me is that maybe Riley can give me a fresh number. They were minus 155 to win it all. What is the new number for the Celtics to win it all?
To win it all, at least on DraftKings here, minus 150.
Okay. So, guys, I was born at night, not last night. Okay. So, if they're minus 1,300 to win this series, okay, and the Wolves are minus 175 to beat the Mavericks, in what world can you take a minus 1,300 and correlate that times, I don't know, what, minus 300 and get minus 150? You can't do that in a parlay. Parlays too. Okay, so in other words, A to B equals C here. Okay? So what I'm trying to tell you guys is something is wrong here. As much as I am sitting high above courtside here, if I told you that Vegas is telling me, just strictly reading the numbers, the Celtics aren't winning the championship. I didn't say they're not getting to the championship. Don't take me wrong there. If I asked you this, Riley, what do the Wolves have that the Celtics, Pacers, and Mavs don't have? Or I should say it this way. What do the Wolves do that the Celtics, Pacers, and Mavs don't do?
Well, certainly, as opposed to the Mavericks and Pacers, they play a heck of a good defense and have some very good defensive players.
1,000% correct. What I witnessed yesterday, down 20 in the third period, a switch turned on. Now, this is not just YMCA backyard brawling on a Friday night. This is the defending champs. This is three-time MVP Joker. This is Mr. Murray, who had 24 points at halftime. As a team, they scored, around 30 points. They play this swarming defense. They are such a young team at heart, that have never been on this stage, so they don't know any better. So my point is, they destroyed Denver on the offensive glass, whether it was Nas, whether it was Towns, whether it was a bunch of these other guys. Porzingis isn't healthy. We don't know if he'll be back. Who's going to protect the rim for the Celtics? It's not Brown. It's not Tatum. It's not Pritchard. It's not Al Horford shooting threes. They don't have anyone. So am I telling everyone here the winner of Dallas and Minnesota is going to win the series? What I'm trying to tell you, everyone here, the numbers don't add up. You can't take a minus 1,300 versus these two teams and come up with a minus 150 on the Celtics to win it all. Russell, am I lying here? I can't. Riley, am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong. And when you and I were talking before the playoffs started, and what we were just saying now is if a series went to 7 games, that was strictly for the Eastern Conference, at least from my side of things. At that point we were talking, whatever it was 3 weeks ago, thought the Nuggets were going to have a great chance, and that would have been a great series, and it could have been. But obviously this Wolves team, I mean, we saw the one thing that and we talked about it through this Minnesota and Denver series was Anthony Edwards was obviously fantastic throughout, but he needs someone else to step up. And obviously, usually when I say someone else needs to step up, it's the third, fourth, and most important guy on the team that needs to step up. Karl-Anthony Towns had to step up and be the right sidekick to him, and he was fantastic yesterday. And that was the biggest reason. They did have some help, but that was the biggest reason, why they finally got over that hump yesterday. On top of obviously that surge, but Karl-Anthony Towns was really, really good. So you are not incorrect here. And, I don't want to question it because Jason Tatum is obviously fantastic, but until further notice, there has to be a point where he steps up and takes this thing. If they win, it will be because he put together a performance that we have not seen before from him from a consistency standpoint of snatching it and refusing to be denied. Because if he doesn't do that, then Anthony Edwards and company are going to refuse to be denied. And you know, if it's no set in stone that Minnesota is even going to beat Dallas, but if they do, that is the one team that I think could absolutely push that to 6-7 games and potentially give them a potentially beat them. Dallas, I from a little bit of a different story. We're talking, I think, a different story. If Dallas gets there, they would have to go crazy offensively. Not impossible, but no, Minnesota and their defense. And the last thing I'll say, Gobert, when he was in Utah, obviously he won, I don't know how many Defensive Player of the Year awards, or maybe he was runner-up however many times. You would get to the playoff series with them, and teams would be able to find ways to, neutralize him, create mismatch. This Minnesota team has found ways to obviously not expose him and keep him in the best possible positioning to maximize his talents as a defensive unit, as a defensive player, and maximize their talents defensively. So I am with you. It is by no means a lock that Boston is going to win that series if they were to get there, like people are kind of coining it. Are they the best team in the league? I think so, and they are rightfully favored to win the championship. But if Jason Tatum or if it's Jaylen Brown, then it's Jaylen Brown. But if Jason Tatum doesn't step up and have a true NBA Finals MVP performance and earns it and deserves it, you could be Anthony Edwards. The reign of Ant and company could be coming earlier than a lot of people expected.
Well, it's kind of funny because wouldn't it just be ironic that Kyrie comes back to the Garden and wins a championship before Tatum and Brown? You know, that would be hilarious. But again, a Luka Kyrie versus Celtics is great. But I just think this Minnesota team, and I got a 13-1 Mavs to win the West. And again, we got to wait. I'm hoping to get a split, and then we can get back to Dallas, where I don't want to lay the 175. If I can get Dallas to get a lead, then we can get our 6 units and get out of Dodge there. Let me ask you a quick question on DraftKings, and then we'll wrap this up here. Do you have give me what it is for Dallas to win the championship, B, what it is to have Minnesota win the championship, and then they usually have exactas there. What is an exacta? Minnesota beats Boston, Dallas beats Boston.
So odds now 275 for Minnesota to win the entire thing. Mavericks 5-1 plus 500. Let me see if I can find exact. Did you have an exact you were looking for?
Minnesota beats Boston.
Minnesota to beat Boston is plus 370. So Boston to beat Minnesota is plus 150. Boston to beat Dallas is 240, and then Minnesota to beat Boston is 370.
So again, if you want Celtics tickets, you don't want to lay the 150. You know, you can get plus money on those other two over there. I'm just telling you guys from what my eyes, and I read the market. I leave my heart and ego at the desk. I'm just telling you what my eyes see, and it just doesn't add up.
And I'll add one last thing. We were talking in the NHL playoffs about MVP award winners for the championship. Jason Tatum plus money, plus 115 to win the NBA Finals MVP, Ant 310. And obviously Jaylen Brown could come in and steal it, and that's a little bit of a part of it from the minus 150 to the plus 115 here. But plus money on the best player on the Celtics to win the championship compared to minus 235 to be the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, something's so you got Ant at 310. Who's the next best on Minnesota? Is it Cat?
On Minnesota, let's see. Luka, not Minnesota, obviously. Luka 6-1, Brown 8-1, Derek White 22-1, Kristaps 30-1, Kyrie 35-1, Cat 35-1. Sorry, took me a second to get down the line there, but yeah, Cat 35-1 to win the NBA Finals as the number 2 MVP. I mean.
And what's Ant? You said
310 plus 310.
So he's 310, and then what's the next closest person not on the Celtics for a price?
Luka 6-1 is the closest after Ant.
And what was Kyrie?
35-1.
All right, guys. So there it is right there. If you want action into this, you go grab some Ant MVPs at 3-1. You go grab Luka's at 6-1. And I'm going to timestamp this right now. 520 at 518 as we wrap this up. Yes, I'm going to say this. Minnesota versus Boston. Minnesota shocks the world and the MVP. Time stamped.
I'm with you, man. I was already leaning into maybe not leaning into giving that out on the show by any means, but a few things adding up there. But I mean, yeah, Minnesota to beat Boston plus 370 as the other way that you can attack what we're talking about there. So aside from that, there's DraftKings has got plenty of fun stuff going on this NBA. If you're a big NBA offseason person. If you want to try and guess where Bronny James is going to be drafted to, you can get some of that action while you're there, and the same, just a short click away from what we've been talking about today, my friend.
All right, in 11 minutes, Brady Tinker, the voice of Dallas. We're going to talk Dallas sports. It was going to be at 7 o'clock tonight. I had to move it up to 5:30. We're going to talk about the Stars. We're going to talk about the Mavericks. We're going to talk about the Cowboys. He's good friends with Mark Cuban. He's good friends with Jordan Spieth. And we're going to have some fun talking Dallas sports there. Shout out to everyone that was watching the show. Shout out to Mr. Celia. Yes, Russell. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I will be on Ron A Sports, Ron Marmolewski's channel, talking Patriots. Well over 250. By the time we close, there'll be 500 people watch the show live on Twitter. I can't thank the Wager Wire community enough. We've only just begun, as Karen Carpenter sung. It's an Olympic year. We got big news coming here. Stay pat. Thank you guys so much, and see you soon.